As it is written in Isaiah the prophet, "Look, I am sending my messenger ahead of you who will prepare your way."
Welcome to Branch Together. Today's episode comes at a time where we're looking for light, sort of at the end of the tunnel. Are we there yet? Is this pandemic getting to a point where things can start to return to normal? Which things and what normal? It's still honestly pretty confusing, and it's like we're walking around in the dark. Have you ever been in complete darkness somewhere? No streetlights, no little computer color lighting up the room, complete dark? Do you remember what it felt like to be somewhere completely dark? Growing up, my grandparents had a small summer house in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. As we would drive up, it was usually nighttime by the time we got there, and there were no other cars, no streetlights. Houses were way off the road, just fields for as far as you could see. So when we would make it to the dirt road leading to the house, my dad would turn the headlights off in the car as he drove, just to scare us a little. He'd keep driving slowly, and we just hope he was driving straight and not into a ditch. And my brother and I, we'd scream and giggle and look around and realize we couldn't see anything. It was so disorienting, unlike what we were used to in the suburbs. And then he'd turn the headlights back on again. Sometimes he'd do it again and again until my mom was just too nervous or we made it to our turn. Trying to walk or drive in total darkness is not easy, and it's often scary. In this episode, Jesus suggests that there is another option for those who are walking in darkness. He proclaims that he is the light of the world. Where we pick up in John chapter 8, Jesus seems to be sparking controversy wherever he goes and whatever he says. We're no stranger to controversy today because if you spend any amount of time on social media, you know that someone says one thing and it starts a flurry of arguments and things being blown out of proportion. But unlike maybe a critical Twitter message that any coward can post, Jesus doesn't hide behind a computer screen. He talks face to face with those who are opposed to him, and he's confident in who he is. Let's listen to what he says, starting in verse 12. This is John chapter 8. Again, Jesus spoke to them, saying, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." Then the Pharisees said to him, "You are testifying on your own behalf. Your testimony is not valid." Jesus answered, "Even if I testify on my own behalf, my testimony is valid because I know where I have come from and where I am going. But you do not know where I come from or where I am going. You judge by human standards. I judge no one. Yet even if I do judge, my judgment is valid. For it is not I alone who judge, but I and the Father who sent me. In your law, it is written that the testimony of two witnesses is valid. I testify on my own behalf, and the Father who sent me testifies on my behalf." Then they say to him, "Where's your Father?" Jesus answered, "You know neither me nor my Father. If you knew me, you would know my Father also." He spoke these words while he was teaching in the treasury of the temple, but no one arrested him because his hour had not yet come. Jesus refers to himself in an astounding way. He says, "I am the light of the world." In the Psalms, God is light. "The Lord is my light and my salvation." The Old Testament prophets spoke too, saying, "The Lord shall be your light forever." They awaited a Messiah who would be light. Isaiah says that the Messiah will do more than just restore the people of Israel to God. He will make the Messiah a light to the nations and bring salvation to the ends of the earth. Light is a great symbol for Jesus to use. Light helps us see things. Light guides us as we travel. Light promotes growth and life. Light warms and comforts. A well-lit area dissuades criminals. Light dispels darkness. The world, our world, lies in darkness and death because it has rebelled against God, and it's broken its connection with the one source of light and life. Jesus claims to be the light that brings light and life back into the world and sets it free from its bondage to sin. You see, the Jewish people had just finished celebrating a feast to remember how God led the people by a pillar of fire in the wilderness, a light to follow. Jesus now insists that he is the light. A truer and greater freedom awaits anyone who will follow him. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but have the light of life. To follow Jesus means to believe in him, to trust him, and the results are life and light for anyone who believes. I wonder for you, if you've been following Jesus for any amount of time, how has following Jesus brought light into your life? Light is good. It makes our path clear, prevents tripping. Shining light will also expose things that were secret and hidden in the dark. I wonder today, do you have the courage to face what you'll see if you live in the light of Christ? Are you ready to make the changes that the light will show as it exposes maybe your bad habits? Or will you be willing to accept what God gives as we see things and live in that light? Jesus is the light of the world. Anyone who follows him will never walk in darkness, but have the light of life. You'll never have to walk in the dark, stumbling over your steps, wondering if there's something you'll bump into or something hiding along the way. You don't have to go at it blindly because Jesus is light. Jesus is confident of who he is and where he's going. And if we follow in his light, we too can be confident. You don't have to keep bumbling about. The offer's there. As I began to reflect on Jesus being the light of the world, immediately a song came to mind that's actually a prayer. In the prayer of St. Patrick, it's a song that they've created called Christ as a Light. It's a short song, and it's sort of meant to be sung during a time of prayer, something you'd sort of memorize and sing throughout your day to connect with the Lord. I'm going to sing it as our closing prayer today, and if you want to join me, the words will be on the screen. Christ as a light, illumine and guide me. Christ as a shield, overshadow me. Christ under me, Christ over me, Christ beside me, on my left and my right. This day be within and without me, lowly and meek, yet all powerful. Be in the hearts of each to whom I speak, and the words of those who speak unto me. Christ as a light, Christ as a shield, Christ beside me, on my left and my right. Amen.